Hello, my name is Adam, and I'm on a mission to review everything that I can. I want to be the most prolific reviewer of all time. Prolific means the person with the most reviews. And I decided a few weeks ago that I would review all of my music collection as part of this project. And I really like doing it, but it's really time consuming. So if you like what I do, please like and subscribe and leave a bunch of comments so I can see that people really do appreciate it. And I appreciate the people who have commented on my videos so far. Today, we are going to talk about The Doors. I began the project with The Doors. I started with their first album, called The Doors, and now we're going to talk about the second album that they released in 1967 called Strange Days. And like before, I'm going to give you my thoughts about each song, and then I'll give you sort of a summary of it. So, Strange Days begins with the song Strange Days. The song begins with an eerie organ and then a thumping bass. Morrison's voice is ethereal, disconnected. Strange days have found us, have tracked us down. As with a lot of Doors songs, a groove is established with the threat of a crescendo hanging in the air. They're going to destroy our casual joys. Morrison's main vocal is echoed by a distorted vocal played by him on a Moog synthesizer, which is the first recording using it. The song climbs to its peak. We shall go all night or else find a new town. The middle with a driving beat and insistent organ. This ends, but it's a false ending to the song, and the next verse continues. Strange eyes feel stranger. Voices will signal their tired end. The hostess is grinning. The guests sleep from singing. Sinning, not sinning, singing, but sinning. Sinning. Both the music and the lyrics detail alienation. Everything is odd and momentary, fragile. The music reaches the second crescendo, hearing you talk of sin, and you know this is it. The music is now frantic, but restrained. No instrumental solo breaks the groove. Strange days have found us. Proven strange hours, we linger alone. But the lyrics are hard to decipher in this strange audio. Bodies confused, memories misused. Another crescendo, as we pass from the day to our strange night of stone. The song and audio end. The threatened wildness never happens. It is indeed a strange day, remembered and no longer experienced. Yeah, so as I wrote, the interesting thing of this song is there's no solos. Everything is very constructed with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and nothing breaks from that. So it's a very odd way to start an album, but it's not a bad way to start an album. And this particular album came out, as I said, in 1967, the same year that their breakout hit Break On Through happened in their first album, The Doors. But it wasn't as successful, and I think that's probably because there wasn't such a breakout hit on this album, and the album didn't have The Doors on the cover. It was just a picture of a circus. All right, we move on to the next song called Your Lost Little Girl. The song starts with a quiet guitar riff, a faint organ. Morrison's voice is soft and disconnected. Your lost little girl. You're lost. Tell me, who are you? The same riff, a much quieter rhythm guitar, a drum run, strident but still quiet organ. Think that you know what to do. Impossible, yes, but it's true. Jaunty organ fills. I think that you know what to do, punctuated by organs and drums. Sure that you know what to do. The song settles into a groove. Quiet again. Your lost little girl. The groove continues, but still quiet. You're lost. Tell me, who are you? A quick guitar solo. Uh, Robbie Krieger, unlike on the first album, can actually use guitar effects, and it sounds great. It supplements the mood, does not detract, and is over as quickly as it began. Apparently, he had trouble nailing it, so they got him to smoke some illicit substances, let's say, and that helped him achieve the required level of relaxation. So the band has an aura of relaxation on this track. There's a story that to get Morrison to relax, the producer Paul Rothschild got someone to go into the recording booth with him and do some extracurricular activities, let's say. Um, it's very effective. There's no hint of tension in his voice. The song winds down, and honestly, I've always been confused by this song. It appears to be about someone who doesn't know who they are, but exactly how young is this little girl? I think it's probably more sexist than disturbing, but I've always wondered about this. And if you look online, there are debates about the meaning of this song. And most people say that it's like this blues trope of like little girl. Um, but in those situations, you can kind of say, okay, it is about an adult woman. But here you have like somebody who is inexperienced but knows what to do. So I think that the ambiguity is part of the meaning of the song, actually. So this is the first song that Krieger wrote, and it's probably the best. Not to say that it's morally good or whatever, but it's an interesting song, and it really makes you think about things. All right, so we move on to the next song on the album, which Krieger also wrote. It's called Love Me Two Times. The song starts off with a bluesy riff. After the airiness of the first two tracks, it's a grounding into blues rock. A bass contributes to the groove, and then the most blues of instruments, a harpsichord. Densmore drumming here, Densmore's drumming here is a throb, a glue that holds the song together. The lyrics are appropriate but not especially deep. Love me two times, baby. Love me twice today. Once for tomorrow and once for today. It's another of Krieger's hidden gems. Morrison's vocal has a sensitive quality to it for a song that is straight up about sex. The song also has potentially the first appearance of a rhythm that the Doors use quite often. It's not just one downbeat or two, but like 12 in a row. Don, 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 don. That wasn't 12, but I was just illustrating what they do. And this is used as kind of an exclamation point. It also may be the only rock song with a harpsichord solo, so that's interesting. Even when Morrison's voice raises in a sort of half scream, he is still calm. It's easy to see in a song like this why he was chosen as the front man. His vocal oozes charisma. All right, now we move on to the next track, which is probably, honestly, the weakest track of the album, called Unhappy Girl. An organ starts a groove, a bouncy interruption. Unhappy girl, left all alone, playing solitaire, playing warden to your soul. You're lost in a prison of your own device. The lyrics are not bad, but they're too dense for this light song. Not even in an ironic sort of way. There's a disconnect between how the music makes you feel and what the lyrics suggest, not in a way that inspires discomfort or thought, just rejection. And as I said, this is the weakest song um, on a very strong album, and we'll see later other great songs. Okay, so we go from a song about the weirdness and alienation of modern life, and then a song about some mysterious woman, mysterious relationship, and then just a song about sex, and then this song about someone who's unhappy. And then we go into a spoken word poem called Horse Latitudes. The theme of the album so far, as I had said, has been about love, or at least sex and alienation. Now we have a completely out of left field spoken word performance about drowning horses. The sounds are atmospheric, not suggesting but evoking. A backward tape suggests an odd rewind of time. Screams in the background. For the first time on the album, Morrison's vocal is not in control, it is unhinged. The performance is odd, but it works on the album. These are strange days, and strange things have always happened. Now we move on to, honestly, one of my favorite Doors songs of all time, called Moonlight Drive. A piano false starts, and then a master performance on bottleneck guitar by Krieger. Densmore provides a shuffling beat. Let's climb to the moon. Let's swim through the tide. Morse's vocal is detached yet confident. Penetrate the evening that the city sleeps to hide. A sudden jagged rhythm. Let's swim out tonight, love. It's our turn to try. Park beside the ocean on our moonlight drive. The music perfectly matches the lyrics. The piano provides the backbone of the song. Nothing left open and no time left to decide. Krieger switches from bottleneck to an in-pocket solo. The song gets more aggressive. You reach out a hand to hold me, but I can't be your guide. Easy it to love you as I watch you glide. The vocal is unhinged now. The outro vocal says something like, gonna get real close, baby gonna drown tonight, which connects the song to death in the previous poem about the drowning horses. If all other Doors songs were to disappear, this is the one that I would keep. You can interpret it in a darker way, which Morrison did, or on a much more superficial way, like let's just go for a drive to the ocean at night. And during live performances, they would combine this song with Horse Latitudes to suggest that they're both about drowning. But I think that's boxing the interpretation of the song in. The listener should be free to choose what they think the song is about. I think it's not a nice mood song, and it's not about drowning at all. And this song is so powerful that when the biopic about the Doors came out in 1991, Val Kilmer, who's playing Jim Morrison, he sings this to the actor who's playing Ray Manzarek as the first song Jim sings. And it's not actually the first song that he sang to Manzarek. The first song that he sang was My Eyes Have Seen You, which is later on the album. But I understand completely why they chose this one, because it's a great combination of melody and lyrics. It's one of Jim Morrison's best songs. Now, we move on from one of Jim Morrison's best songs, which is not that popular, to one of his songs which is super popular, called People Are Strange. And this is probably the most famous song on the album, actually. A very quiet guitar. Morrison's lonely vocal singing the first verse. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. Finally, the music starts. A driving piano and an otherworldly guitar. Reliable rhythm. Morrison's voice becomes more and more plaintive. Then a roll downwards and up again. The opening verse is repeated, but this time with musical emphasis. A guitar solo from the other room. A rollicking piano. The lyrics repeat without much variation, but this makes the message of the song easy to digest. A noble piano solo. Towards the end, Morrison's vocal is doubled, and the song takes on the air of a drinking song. And Morrison's sadder, lonelier voice repeats, "When you're strange." Then that last line is repeated without any real ending to the song. It just finishes. Alright, now we come to a song which I mentioned earlier called "My Eyes Have Seen You." A strumming riff, a strident piano. There's an interesting effect in the mix, like a washboard, driving drums. My eyes have seen you, stand in the door. The music gets more insistent. Meet inside, show me some more. The piano cuts through everything. My eyes have seen you, turn and stare, fix your hair, move upstairs. This is a voyeuristic song. The hardest guitar riff on the album cuts through the noise. It transitions into a masterful solo. Calmness again, but still the same driving rhythm. The phrase "television skies" is repeated multiple times, which hints at the theme of the song. Television is the ultimate voyeuristic art. You can watch it, but the people on it can never see you. My eyes have seen you. Let me photograph your soul. Memorize your alleys on an endless roll. Endless roll. Great lyrics, which are perfectly suited to the frantic chaos at the end of the song. It is probably easy to dismiss this song as not one of the most famous, but it is a brilliant song. The perfect Doors song. And so far, the album only has one weak song. The next song is called "I Can't See Your Face in My Mind." The listener needs a breather from the manic energy of the last song, so this one starts in a quieter fashion. I can't see your face in my mind. The vocal is detached, like it's coming from a different house. A circus-like rhythm begins. Carnival dogs consume the lines. I can't see your face in my mind. The marimba, despite being such a grounded instrument, adds an otherworldly feel. The organ seems to have run through some effect as well. Baby, don't cry, and don't look at me with your eyes. I can't seem to find the right lie. The lyrics and music hint at some sort of otherworldliness to the situation, but I think at its core, it's much simpler. A guy is with somebody, closes his eyes, and tries to imagine what she looks like, and finds he can't. So the question becomes why? Is it because they just met? Or they have known each other for a long time, but he doesn't love her? I don't need your picture until we say goodbye. It's maybe not a hummable ditty, but it's certainly evocative of a certain mood. Now we come to the epic that concludes Strange Days, the album. Like on their first album, they concluded that album with the epic The End. And this album, they were going to conclude it with an epic called When the Music's Over. The organ intro hints at the journey we're about to take. The drums aggressive yet controlled. This might be odd, but I feel like this is the first straight up rock song on the album. Morrison's "Yeah" is wild and introduces how the rest of the song will go. Krieger's guitar is otherworldly. 1 minute has passed before the first lyric. When the music's over, turn out the lights. When the music's over, dance on fire as it intends, when the music is your only friend, until the end. The section starts the song off with a clear message about music giving life meaning, and it accompanies us throughout our days. A calm guitar solo starts. You can hear Morrison scream Persian lights in the background. The song gathers eerie effects and an eerie quality to it. In the next section, Morrison's voice is gruff, sounding like that of a much older man. Cancel my subscription to the resurrection. Send my credentials to the house of detention. I've got some friends inside. Is he suggesting that he would much rather go to hell because it would be more interesting? Then we have some amateur poetry. The face in the mirror won't stop. The girl in the mirror won't drop. So the face in the mirror not stopping, great line, but what does it mean the girl in the window won't drop? A feast of friends, alive she cried, waiting for me outside. When Morrison actually made the effort and sat down to write a song, his lyrics were good, sometimes brilliant, but when he improvised, they were not always great or coherent. The next lines, while they might not make much sense, do feel brilliant. Before I sink into the deep, big sleep, I want to hear the scream of the butterfly. It's a bit funny because the lines work, but Morrison is just quoting film titles. Densmore is doing an excellent job here, filling up the empty spaces with appropriate concussion. And percussion, not concussion, but percussion. After some gibberish, which sounds great, Morrison moves on to the "What have they done to the earth" section. Probably one of the first pro-environment messages in rock, but it's swallowed up in a bunch of gobbledygook. Then we want the world and we want it now. The song is like automatic writing almost. Back to Persian light, babe. See that light, babe. What does that mean? Then Jesus, save us. Then we return to the main theme. The song finishes with an outburst. The song suffers from the same lack of editing that appears in the end, but whereas that song feels like a mishmash of different songs with really juvenile lyrics, this is a coherent whole. And while there is some bad poetry, it's at least atmospheric. No mentions of blue buses to be found. So, all in all, this is probably one of the best albums the Doors produced. Their first album was brilliant but marred by weak tracks and at times uneven writing, both from Morrison and from Krieger. Here, Krieger's writing is a tour de force, and Morrison, while still being Morrison, is able to evoke a feeling with his lyrics, even if they are nonsense. But he has this problem on one or two tracks, but they're still brilliant tracks. So I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. I really like the album. I listen to it all the time. What do you think? If you've listened to the album, or if you're going to listen to the album after you watch this review, put your thoughts in the comment section and let me know. Thank you. Bye-bye.